afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 2 o'clock, so I am now calling the meeting to order. Could I ask that you take a minute and turn off your electronic devices, put them on silence so we don't listen to those? Nancy, could I invite you to give us an invocation?
As we are about to celebrate yet another birthday of our country, I thought I would read a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson entitled A Nation's Strength. What makes a nation's pillars high and its foundation strong? What makes it mighty to defy the foes that round it throng? It's not gold, its kingdom's grand, go down in battle shock. Its shafts are laid on sinking sand, nor on abiding rock. Is it the sword? Ask the red dust of empires passed away. The blood has turned their stones to rust, their glory to decay. And is it pride? Ah, that bright crown has seemed to nations sweet, but God has struck its luster down in ashes at her feet. Not gold, but only men, and may I add women, can make a people great and strong. Men and women who for truth and honor's sake stand fast and suffer long. Brave men who work while others sleep, who dare while others fly. They build a nation's pillars deep and lift them to the sky. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we praise you for our country, its beauty, its riches that it has for us, and the gifts it showers on us. We thank you for your people, the gift of languages we speak, the variety of races we have, the cultural heritage we cherish, and the latent possibilities there for our country to be great. Grant that we accept these gifts with thankfulness and use them for the good of the human race and bring glory to you. In thy name we ask. Amen.
Thank you, Nancy. Denise Pakula. I saw Denise was going to talk about, here she comes, is going to tell us about the shop at 2300. And my bill showed that I've been shopping there this month.
The shop at 2300 continues to be the place to meet your fellow residents for shopping and conversation. And we are finding that residents are coming and just having a grand time chatting and visiting with each other, as well as looking at all the beautiful things we have. We have new socks are in, as well as new jewelry lines, and we will continually be adding new products like the mini cakes from Cakes by Jen. And if any of you were fortunate enough to come by when we had a tasting, you know how good they are. Check out our 4th of July decorations, jewelry, and scarves. All will be sure to give your holiday a big bang. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Charlotte Bailey, VACRA.
Good afternoon. We have appointed a nominating committee who will meet July 1. They will be considering names for officers for the coming year. If you have someone that you think would be a good candidate, please let one of these 5 people I'm going to mention know their names. Sally Bingley, Roger Dowdy, Dolly Hintz, Carla Oliver, and Jerry Simonoff. This nominating committee will have a 2-month period to do their work. And in September, we will have a membership meeting and a vote will be taken. New officers. Thrilling. We will not have a meeting in June or July, but we will reconvene in August with our educational programs, which are available to all residents. On June 23rd, we had a coffee for new residents to introduce them to VACRA. We had a good time eating sweets, particularly the brownies, having coffee, introducing ourselves, getting to know each other, and talking about VACRA. And while we have been hit with a bit of a setback with the Pinnacle Board of Directors' denial of the Resident Council's motion to request a resident on board, we have not given up. We, along with Resident Council, have requested a continued conversation with the board, and we are awaiting their response. We will continue to advocate for resident representation on the board in the best and most effective way, and we ask for your continued support in these efforts. It will perhaps take a longer period of time than we would like to achieve our goal, but we want you to know we plan to continue to push forward. One last item to mention: we welcome any of your suggestions for programs that would benefit residents. As you know, VACRA is an educational and advocacy organization whose purpose is to promote, to protect, to empower, and to better the lives of residents here at Cedarfield. So if you have a topic to explore, please let us know. Any questions? Questions? No questions? Okay.
And now a word from our new Executive Director, Amy Chapman.
Good afternoon, everybody. I will share before I read my notes that I wrote them in about 45 minutes while we were out of power in my house a few days ago. So if I come across a typo or two, I apologize. It's nice to be back. I've been here for about 30 days now. Over the last 30 days, I've gotten the opportunity to meet with a lot of you. Thank you for stopping by and welcoming me. If I haven't met you yet, please stop by. My door is always open. If I'm not there, I'm probably in the hallway somewhere. You might find me if you look. But over the last 30 days, I've been attending a lot of meetings. I've been meeting a lot of new people, been doing rounds in the dining room during lunchtime and dinner. I've had the privilege of joining some of you at dinner times meals over the last few weeks. Thank you for those invitations. And I'll continue to be visible in those areas. Also have attended some great events over the last 30 days. We had a terrific decades party on Friday of last week. I proudly represented the 80s decade in my neon glory, and I actually won for that decade. Who would have thought those leg warmers would have come in handy again, but they did. We also had a marketing event yesterday that was very well attended for our Futures residents, and we also had a Pathways to Wellness Fair mini exhibit for those who are new to our community. All in all, the community continues to amaze me how well our residents and team members get along. You would have seen that on the dance floor last Friday when we all were doing the twist together. And I look forward to the next 30 days and the 30 days that follow that because I just know that it's going to get better and better. So thank you for, again, all your welcomes and visits over the last 30 days. Some other things that are going on in the community is we're renovating the town center and the fellowship hall, and that continues to be a regular agenda item on our corporate calls and construction meetings. It looks like right now we are contemplating doing those two renovations at the same time to be good stewards of our money. It sounds like the construction team feels like they can do it a little bit quicker and have more people here working on a larger scale project by combining both this phase of the project with the outside areas outside this room, the library, as well as the Faith Center, which we're creating. So we're in the process of firming up the plans and actually investigating what the cost savings would be to bring those two plans together. Because we have finished the plans for the town center, my thought was that we should go ahead and move forward with that. But until we know for sure how much it's going to cost to separate those projects and have the teams come in at different times, we probably can't make a decision on moving forward with that yet. But more news to come about the town center as well as the social hall, the fellowship hall project. For those of you who attended the town hall meeting a few weeks ago, you learned that David Stewart has agreed to stay on a while. I'm completely dedicated and grateful for him doing that, not only for us as Cedarfield as a whole, but for me personally. David and I worked together for 20 years here and about 3 years before that when we both worked someplace else. We are in the process of interviewing a new dining room manager to fill one of the slots that we have open, excuse me, as well as interviewing for a dining director. Once we narrow down the candidates for the director's position, we will call members of the dining committee together to take part in that interview as well. So if there's anybody in this room that's part of the dining committee and would like to volunteer their time to be part of that interview process, please see me after the meeting or stop by so that I can make sure that you're invited to do that. There are also a number of other vacant positions on our leadership team. We're in the process of interviewing for the associate executive director position. We've received many applications over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but unfortunately many of them just didn't have what it took or what we thought it took to work in a community like ours. We narrowed down those candidates as well, and we had 2 members of the Health Services Committee take part in the interview yesterday, and that went well. So we should probably hear a little bit later in this week as to whether or not we'll move forward with a candidate who we identified for that position. If you haven't heard already, our booster clinic that was scheduled for July 6th has been canceled. Many of you learned about a new booster through an article in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Excuse me. And we will work with the pharmacy, Giant Pharmacy, to provide a booster clinic early in the fall when the new booster comes out. I think most people know that when you get a booster, you can't have another booster for 6 months. We wanted to make sure that you had the availability to have the booster in the fall when we find more people get sick. So we'll make sure that in the fall we advertise that and have that clinic scheduled for residents and team members to benefit from. And last but not least, we have been working over the last several months on assisted living renovations. On Thursday of this week, I will work with our contractors, the Pinnacle Living leadership team, as well as the architects to do a final punch list of the 4th floor. Once we're done with that, I've been walking through every day. I haven't identified anything that's a major problem. But once we get that punch list complete and provide the contractors a list of some small things that need to be fixed, we will have that area released to us so that we can start moving people through the continuum. Our social workers have been working with a lot of our residents who have expressed an interest in moving to the new area. Once it's open, we will have tours. It came out absolutely beautiful. Those apartments are really nice. Everything that I imagined that they would be and more. So we'll make sure that we offer that opportunity for some people to come by and look at those. And if you know of anybody, or you yourself are considering moving to assisted living, I'm sure that Kathy or Lynette would be happy to provide you with more information. Are there any questions for me? I'm sure I didn't miss anything.
What about flu shot?
We have ordered the flu shot. We have not gotten a date yet on when we will have them. I think most of you know the longer we could wait for flu shots, the better, because flu shots only last 3 months. So we typically hold off until late October or early November. That's what Dr. Faranian, our medical director, has always suggested. But they have been ordered.
With regard to assisted living, I heard that there were some not so small problems with the showers in 2 different ways. One, that they were leaking over the small barrier, and the other one that there was a problem with the shower and the commode, and the shower water getting that whole area wet. So that to me was a very large problem to some friends of mine who moved in.
So I took a pretend shower last week in the assisted living showers, and we're working on rectifying some of those things. In my opinion, a lot of them have to do with the shower head, because it's a detachable shower head. So if you're standing in the shower and you're spraying the water, it could literally go anywhere. So we're looking at adjusting the shower head so that it isn't one that could be moved everywhere at this point, and looking at some modifications to the shower curtain itself so that the angle of the water that bounces off of the floor is adjusted because of the barrier between the shower curtain. Yes, ma'am.
And what's the status of the atrium?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
What is the status of the atrium?
Cafe. The air conditioning system was ordered 2 weeks ago. We were told 6 to 8 weeks. We have a call scheduled today with the manufacturer to decide whether or not it will actually be here within 6 to 8 weeks. We'll continue to serve meals down there in the way we're serving them now. Yes, ma'am.
Why wasn't the air conditioning system ordered sooner? We knew.
Repeat the question.
Why wasn't the air conditioning system ordered sooner if we knew it needed to be done?
It was ordered and it came and it was the wrong system.
Oh, I see.
It was too small for where we needed it. I will remain here through the meeting and then at the end too if there are any other questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. What a month it's been. A month ago at this time, we were here saying a tearful farewell to Jeff Hagan and Patty. They had embedded themselves in this community for 5 months and did a wonderful job. Jeff righted the ship. He got us steered down the middle of the stream. He got some programs were underway that had languished for years. And he made a list of things to do for our next executive director in case she got lonesome and unbusy and needed something to do. We have had the prettiest spring that I ever remember in my life, and the flowers on this campus are just amazing. And this morning I have watched an instant garden go in on the walk up here from B-Wing, and it's just lovely to see that. Amy, as you know, arrived or returned to Cedarfield after a number of years. For those who had known her in the past, the excitement was palpable at the news of her return. For those of us who are just beginning to get to know her, we are impressed by her ability to listen, to research the issue, to think carefully, and respond appropriately. And we love that her son Noah is able to continue his work in the dining room this summer. Recently, Lacey Salamoni brought 2 Henrico County police officers to Cedar Field to talk with us about active shooter training. They left us with a phrase to remember in case we're ever faced with one, and those words are, run, hide, fight. And they said some of us might be more appropriately able to do the middle one than maybe the first or the last, but unfortunately in our society today we need to keep those thoughts in our mind, not just here, but when we're at church, when we're at the grocery store, wherever we might be. If you have not seen it, or if you had to leave early, as some of us did for another meeting, you can view it on Touchdown. So you go to mycedarfield.com, you check under the list of things, hot topics and memos, and then scroll down through memos and some other things, and then you'll see the video, and you can watch it right on your computer in your own, the privacy of your own living room. So enjoy that. This seems to be the month that residents have been contacting me, asking me to give reminders about life at Cedar Field. One has to do with a scam. One of our residents received a phone call lately from CVS, supposedly, saying, "Have I got a deal for you, a free glucometer?" As she is a healthcare professional, she knew what a glucometer was and knew she didn't need one. Long story short, they were trying to get her Social Security number, her Medicare number, any other number they could to make her a victim. She was smart enough to hang up. She reported it. And so we put up a slide for a day or two saying, if you get these unsolicited calls, don't answer these people's questions. Don't become a victim yourself. Now, if you have called CVS and they return your call, that's one thing. But if they're calling from out of the blue, don't take the call. Cedar Field collects our hours that we volunteer, and it helps them retain their nonprofit status. Thank you. The brain is a terrible thing to lose. Nonprofit status. There is a form in the business office on the wall, the Resident Business Center, and you can just take that form and keep track of your hours. Every one of you who is an area rep, who is a committee chair, who is a committee member, is doing hours every month. So keep track of it, and at the end of the month, turn it in to Katrin Hudala. Where's Katrin's office? Second floor near the pool and the exercise room, or I think there's probably a box in the cubby room for wellness and leisure, so she can get that. Please remember that parking in front of Town Center is limited to approximately 2 hours. So if you're coming up here for a lecture, for a class, for a meal, feel free to park out front, but not overnight. As Amy mentioned, marketing had an event here yesterday. They're having another one here tomorrow morning, and so the parking will get blocked off tomorrow morning for that session as well. Cedar Field's library is a wonderful treasure for those of you who have not partaken of it. But when you take a book from the first floor library, please remember to sign the card in the back of the book and leave it. People have recently been taking books and nobody knows who's got those books or where they've gone. For the library section that's up on the 4th floor, you may take those books, you don't have to sign them out, and then just return them to the piece of furniture, the old card catalog, when you are finished with that book, and return those there. A coyote has been seen numerous times. Thank goodness Mackenzie and I have not seen the coyote, but particularly on the lane, so watch as you're out walking, particularly if you have a small animal with you. And that's the end of the reminders. Those coyotes and the bunny rabbits and everything else that we're seeing on campus, deer, are getting scattered from their home as 3-chop work, all the construction work is starting, and so they're disturbing our little critters' homes. They know what fun we have at Cedar Field, so they're trying to move in too, so watch out for them. That's the end of the reminders I was asked to make. Please remember the number of magnificent, wonderful team members that we have working here at Cedar Field, and the wonderful events and activities. Amy just mentioned some of us. We recently had a happy hour in the hub We recently had the Summer Decades last Friday, and I loved seeing Sonny and Cher and leg warmers and all kinds of outfits that people dressed up. It was both for team members and residents, and I love the cross-pollination of the two enjoying lunch and dancing together. We had a day of remembrance for Memorial Day a month ago. We had a sing-along for Flag Day. Mike Steele got his radio players to do a segment of Dragnet. Ann James and Sally Irwin provided a professional concert for us of flute and piano recently. New residents of the last 12 months came to the Pathways to Wellness orientation, and the dining room continues to help us with their Cedarfield 15 in case we have begun to lose 1 or 2 of those 15 pounds we picked up when we moved in. They're still shoveling it out, and we seem to be partaking of it greatly. Thank you, Cedarfield, for yet another good month. Any questions of me? I failed to ask. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now it's time for committee reports. Vivian, communications.
The Communications Committee met on June 12th, and it was a stellar meeting. We had, besides our committee members, we had our president-elect, and our executive director in attendance. As you know, we are continuing to follow up on the results from the communications survey that we sent out several weeks ago. And one of the issues that was in that in the comments section of that had to do with recycling and the amount of paper that gets used with individual flyers that are in our in-house mailboxes day after day after day. And this is an ongoing issue. And we were really pleased. Frank Miller suggested combining the various flyers in a document that is placed in the mailboxes weekly instead of daily. And Amy Chapman said, we used to do that when she was here before COVID. And so after some discussion, we're going to be moving forward and trying that again, having a weekly what's going on at Cedarfield this week flyer, 1 page, probably front and back. And that's in the works. We're talking with the wellness and leisure people, and Amy is being very helpful with providing examples of how it used to be. In addition, and obviously we're hoping that this will filter out so that people who would otherwise put individual pages or half pages or even little slips of paper in our mailboxes will get the word and use this vehicle instead. The committee reviewed the distribution of comments portion of the recent survey, and we are sending those things out. Amy was interested in seeing the whole batch, and I provided her with those. We also talked about the need for an accurate and current campus map, and Ann Williams shared a copy of a map given to new members and volunteered to get copies for the committee. We may be, after examining that, we may be suggesting that all residents have such a map or a place where they can pick up those maps. Because as you know, a lot of things have specific names that might not mean anything obvious to the residents. Going forward, we're going to be reviewing those maps. We're also going to be reviewing the guidelines for slides on 974. That's an ongoing issue about making them legible. Pretty good job on that, I think. But the other issue is getting them up and down promptly for things that are of limited relevance. So that's where we stand. The committee talked about adding members. We lost a couple this year for various reasons. And I've reached out to people whose names were forthcoming. And I'm happy to announce that Sunny Zinder and Phyllis Katz will be joining the committee as of July. Any questions?
If I wanted to put a sheet of paper in the cubby mailbox, how do I get that information? If I or someone wanted to put a piece of paper in a cubby in an inside mailbox to announce something, but to avoid doing that, who do we get that information to?
That is a good question, and as soon as we have an answer, I will let you know. We're in the process of working out the logistics now. This is something that just came up a couple weeks ago, and who would be the point person has not been decided, but I will keep you informed. The other thing I would mention just briefly is to assure you that the Cedarfield Voices is on schedule to be available mid-August, and we on the editorial board are really excited about it. As I mentioned, it's now going up to 16 pages, and we're encountering more interest from people who want to make contributions. So again, if there are articles you would like to see, let us know the topic and we'll see what we can do about it if it fits with our mission. But also, if you're interested in writing an article, we welcome resident authors to make contributions. So, any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. And now Ravi, dining.
Good afternoon. First, I'll go through 3 items that came up at the last resident council meeting. Questions and comments. First one was the guest meal charges for children. And that is when the guest charges are increased, the question was, how about the kids? Well, that's not going to be increased. So it'll remain at $7.50 from 4 to 12, and under 4, there's no charge. Somebody had mentioned that they went to the box with the comment. Yes, thank you, comment box. And it was full twice in a row. And that was surprising, and when I mentioned that to the dining people, they were surprised because they do empty it every week. So just to try it out, they did go and check it, and it was not full. So something must have happened for this person. So if that happens again, just talk to one of the dining staff members. The other was you wanted the cafe staff to be recognized for the wonderful work they're doing. Well, they are going to be they're going to be honored in the promenade display in September. And in addition to that, we've also sent a letter to Tanika, an appreciation letter. In terms of staffing, David says everything is full now. It's in good shape. And we've got a lot of kids now. And they're going to leave in August. which means there's going to be a shortage of people. But then dining is used to that, and they feel they can take care of it. One of the things that they're saying is that if we can get high school kids to come and work, they might last a few years while they're going through their education. But we're not allowed to go into it in the schools. The safety regulations, whatever regulations. So if anybody has any ideas on how to approach the schools, that'd be great. I think Amy mentioned that the next item I had on here was David Stewart. Everybody's been asking, where's David Stewart, what's happening? And as Amy mentioned, he's come out of retirement, so to speak, or didn't retire. The other is people have been asking about Jim Bernier. He has left. So I think there should have been an announcement about that. The households, Conrad, who was the sous chef, he is now working with the cooks in the households and training them and making sure the kitchens are clean and the kitchen standards, improving their skills, and we've heard that things are improving there. We did send, the dining committee did send letters of appreciation to about 9 people in dining because of their extraordinary work, the hours they spent willingly during the hard times, and for their attitude. So that has been sent. The innovation grant application was not approved at this time. It had to do with the first phase of renovating the clubhouse. And there's a lot of interest in doing that in this community. But what we were asking for was money for the first phase, in a study. But then it was felt that there's a lot of work behind that that's going to have to be done by Pinnacle, a lot of money that's got to be spent. And so unless we get a buy-in from Pinnacle, there's no point in proceeding with this first phase. So that's where it's at. But there is still a lot of interest. Well, I've been talking about this vehicle that is needed by dining to cart things, particularly to the clubhouse. And that a vehicle was supposed to come from Roanoke, and that's not coming. So something needs to be done. We need a vehicle. Some of the staff have been using their personal vehicles to cart stuff. We would welcome a donation if somebody's willing to donate, or you hear of somebody who wants to. A large van or an SUV would be ideal, but if it's only a car, they could always sell it and buy a van. So. Cafe, the point of sale system, it's still being worked on, it's being finalized, and they're being very careful not to launch it until all of at least as many of the problems have been taken care of, and each time they come up with new requests. So that's going on. They're talking to the vendor every week, and hopefully it is incredibly complicated, the system, in terms of what you want to get done. And I'm not going to go through that here, but if you want to talk to me later, I'll tell you some of the complications for this. The clubhouse is being cleaned. by the dining staff, and they've ordered new china and flatware, and the dishwasher and other equipment is being connected. There was been a lot of discussion among the residents and from the environmental committee, not environmental committee, the recycling committee, that there's people are getting too much food and are not being able to get smaller sizes even when they ask for it. And associated with that is all the waste. That will be taken care of with the new POS system, the point of sale system. The wait staff will not be, they will have a choice of small or large, and they will not be able to move on to the order until they've answered that question. So that'll take care of, hopefully, take care of that. The other thing that a lot of people have talked about is the dress code in the dining room. And one of the things we found out was there never has been a dress code at Cedarfield. And which was surprising because I know early days people were really well dressed up. So it's all pure peer pressure that has, the dress code is based on peer pressure. So if any of you are concerned, you should talk to some of the people. Tough for us to get into it. So that's it. Any questions, comments? Okay. Susan's got it coming.
I was going to bring up the dress code and whether there was one. Apparently there is not a dress code. I would highly recommend that your committee develop one. There have been some guests in our dining room that had so much information that we did not need to know based on their scanty clothing. And in our evening meals, it was inappropriate. And so I think we need a dress code. No short shorts and no halter tops.
It's just about shorts. I mean, I don't want to get into that now. We can. I mean, it's a slippery slope when you get into it.
Well, I'm not a prude, but we know most of us what is appropriate.
Yeah. Now, people have talked about shorts, and it's very around here. People do wear shorts in summer, particularly in summer. And you go to a good restaurant, you'll find people in shorts. So anyway, leave it at that. Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? You may have seen it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Question, comment?
Yes.
Thank you. Robbie, I respectfully disagree that there is none. If you go on to the website and to reservation system, it says very plainly for Prima, dress code is business casual. If you don't believe it, go look at it.
No, I actually, when Prima reopened, that was one of the comments I made in the report, that the dress would be smart casual.
So I think indirectly, we do have one for Prima.
Well, we suggested it. There's no dress code. Yeah.
I may be one of the few people in here who was responsible for enforcing a dress code. I taught nursing, and we had a very clear dress code. And trust me, nobody wants to be the person responsible for doing a dress code. And in a place like Cedarfield, if you make the public mad, you have really damaged your reputation and future residents' ability to want to come here.
Thank you. That's kind of what I was saying, it's a slippery slope, but anyway.
I find that peer pressure works really well. If I'm having dinner with Nancy Bolio, I find I take a little bit extra care with what I'm wearing to the dining room. Next report, Susan Hutchison with Facilities.
I'm not approved. I'm going to start out and say that right now. Okay. The Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, June 13. Lacey Salamone reported that the D-Wing generator has arrived, and yay, and they are waiting on arrival of a big transfer switch. Waiting also for Henrico County permits to begin work on the concrete pad and enclosure for the generator. Significant electrical work needs to be done for the generator. Once connected, D-Wing apartments will have emergency power for a foyer light and heating and cooling capability. New TVs are to be installed by all of the atrium elevators, and then the new wayfinding sites will be mounted. You may have seen one already up on the second floor. The budget has been established by Pinnacle Corporate to refurbish the exterior surface of the main building and replace numerous aging windows. The project will be completed in phases. An effort is underway by Pinnacle Living Information Technology Department to consolidate the 3 computer systems that currently operate our automated doors. Once the system is in place, which should be soon, that should correct some of the door issues that you're experiencing now. Preliminary plans are to install 2 electric vehicle charging units with a total of 4 ports. An effort by Tesla is underway, if you've been reading the paper, to establish an industry-wide standard for electric vehicles chargers. Currently, Ford and General Motors are producing electric vehicles that will be compatible with Tesla's charger. I'm happy to hear Amy's update on renovations for the Fellowship Hall, Town Center Library, and what we call the Gathering Room. So I won't say anything else on that. An architect is working with the contractor to make the shower modifications, and Amy has commented on that also. Thank you. Fortunately, not all the showers are leaking in the new assisted living area. Renovations of the D-Wing Utility Hall are in progress and scheduled to be completed in the next few weeks. Repairs of a leaking 5-inch copper pipe is required, so a shutdown of the domestic water will be scheduled, and we will be notified well in advance. It will be done at night, so should have minimal impact. Employee parking in the resident parking lots continues to be a problem. We have been told that once all the construction is completed later this summer, the parking problem should ease. Many of the posts and mailboxes, both on the court and the lane, need painting, cleaning, straightening, and in some cases, totally replaced. Mr. Salamone is developing a budget to get the work done. He also reported that there are 20 to 21 cottage roofs slated to be replaced. However, the budget for this year into June of '24 only includes funds for about 15 cottages. Our committee, after some discussion, has decided to back off our every other month schedule and meet once a quarter. Many of the projects that we address are long-term. They go through a long planning and budget process, and we tend to talk about the same thing over and over. So we will be meeting again in September. If anything comes up that needs attention, we will meet and take care of it for you all. So thank you, and does anyone have a question? There's about 3 or 4 pages of minutes of the meeting, so if you want to know more about what we talked about, read the minutes.
Thank you, Susan, for giving us the highlights. Flower Guild, Louisa Rucker.
After losing 2 Flower Guild members in the space of a week to death, our membership was down, and our members just jumped right in and did what needed to do to keep everything seamless with that. And the real upside was within just a few weeks, 2 new residents to Cedarfield identified themselves as being interested in working with the Flower Guild. One of them had never done anything, but she said, I'm willing to try, and she's a good quick study. So what looked like devastation has turned out that we have 20 members, active arrangers, and that's the most of any time in the 22 years the Flower team has been together. I'm so pleased. Additionally, we had another person who has helped wherever she could on the side, join the Flower Committee. She's now a key-holding, apron wearer, full-fledged member of the Guild, and that's Phyllis Katz. Phyllis, thank you so much. Pay attention, Phyllis. The Flower Guild continues to create a minimum of 30 fresh flower arrangements a week, and we're ever so grateful for the Cedarfield community's interest and support of our work. Thank you so much.
And the Fresh Flowers Survey do just a wonderful bit to help improve all of our moods on a daily basis. Health Services, Elvira.
The committee met on June 14th, 2023. The informational meeting that was presented on hospitalization and return to Cedarfield was reviewed. It was well attended, standing room only, with information given to residents. ID cards have been issued to the residents with information for Cedarfield notification and may now be included in all new packets for new residents. Tamika Ross is going to talk with marketing from her perspective on this. It's been an improvement for the healthcare residents. They are encouraged to eat in the dining area. The food carts are no longer in the halls. The trays are delivered one by one. The dietitian is overseeing special diets, calorie counts, food preferences, and food allergies. The 2 grants that were submitted for healthcare were discussed. One is for lab equipment on site that can deliver results quickly to help determine if a resident can be treated here or needs hospitalization. The second is virtual reality equipment for staff, and is what staff is expected to experience, what it's like to be a person with decreased vision or ambulatory problems. We got those grants. Topics were discussed for future educational meetings for residents. At the next meeting, we hope to have a representative from Remedy Pharmacy to discuss medications and the insurance plans that Remedy participates in. 2 new members of the committee were announced, Dr. Rick Myers and Dr. Grayson Miller. Thank you.
Thank you, Elvira, and I'm real proud of Health Services because they were the only 2 innovation grants awarded this go-round. So congratulations. That is all of the committee reports that we know are reporting. Anybody have additional committee reports before we move to area reps? And the first area rep we have is Rosie Whitehorn, Area 9. The middle shall be first. Area 9 residents met over dinner on June 13th. We welcomed our newest area residents, Eldon and Louise Rucker, who moved into apartment 204 from their home on the lane. Louise's commute is now a mere 30 steps to the flower room. Their household also includes Muffin, who is our recently deceased Marion Wainwright's cat. After a period of being fostered by Charlotte Bailey, who becomes the foster mother for many cats around here, Muffin joined the Ruckers household. And just as an aside, if you haven't seen the very creative and unique flower arrangement up near the dining room honoring Muffin, which was collaborated on by Louisa and Francis Eakin, be sure you get up there before Friday when the arrangement will change. Thank you. It's absolutely one of the most creative examples I've ever seen. Next area report is Linda Schlitling, Area 20.
Area 20 will be is that?
No, this is the microphone. That one that you
Area 20 will be welcoming 2 new residents in July, Sharon and Jim DeMint. We've established ongoing monthly dinner meetings, and we hope that our new residents will be able to join us at a welcome dinner for the July 1. And I also wanted to express appreciation to Steve in the dining room. He has really helped a lot in making this happen. We've had to interpol people to find out when's their best time to come, and we've just kind of worked it out very nicely. So that also has something to do with my last comment, which is, this is a great area. I love these people. Also appreciation to Lacey Salmon for keeping us updated regarding the progress of the generator. I'm hoping this isn't repeating too much of what was already said, but I want you to know how cooperative he's been in working with us. We learned that the new generator will have some capabilities, the same capabilities as the generator in the rest of Cedarfield, because that was a question our people had. The history for the current generator reveals that it was used in the past, the longest period of time estimated to be 6 to 8 hours. So if there's a longer outage than that, we do have the dining room and the fellowship hall as backups, and they will continue to have power. And I've already said how proud I am of Area 20 residents. And that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Those were all the areas that we had been notified had reports. Any questions of those? Old business is resident on the Pinnacle Board of Directors. At our last meeting, I announced that I had just received a letter saying that we would not be having a member on the board, and I did send a letter as president of Residents Council to the chairman of the board and the secretary in response to their letter, asking that the conversations be continued. I'll keep you up to date as I know something. We have, as I said earlier, many wonderful team members, and there is one award that is only awarded by Residents Council, and that is the Vision Award. It has not been awarded in several years, so I would like for our area reps in particular to get from either my table or Mary Ann has some of there, a form which actually talks about the 3 awards that are given by Cedarfield. But the Vision Award is given, it represents a culture in which age does not define the person. It's the most difficult award to achieve. I'm asking all members of Residents Council to be thinking of any team member who might achieve this level of success. The team member must, quote, clearly support a resident in reaching his or her own personal goals and provide guidance and encouragement to the individual resident. That award results in a $500 paycheck addition, a trophy, and a name on the peak wall. So that's a special one, and I do want area reps to make sure they put one of these up so they can share it with their residents and be talking about who are the team members that represent this level of excellence at Cedarfield. But don't just think about that as the only thing. There's one award that's called a Value Award, and you can just easily write up on here what that resident, what that team member did for you, or that you observed doing something for someone else, and they will end up getting a $25 gift card and the team member's name on the peak wall as well. Yes?
Could we have a list of the most recent, like 5 years members?
The question was, could we have a list of the most recent 5 awardees who have received this? I remember the last one that happened was Lori, and I've forgotten her last name. She worked in the Wellness and Leisure Office. That's the last one, but I'll get the last 5 names and submit that to the area reps so they'll know who the people who have gotten it in the last several years. That will give them an indication of the level of accomplishment that's needed. Questions? Do I hear a motion? Barbara. Frank.
And you are our representative to the Pinnacle Board of Directors, and I trust you. However, as a resident living here for 13 years, I really request, as a resident, to have a copy of the letter that chairman sent to you and a copy of the letter you sent back. I would like to be informed, as I believe many other residents may be.
I will ask the president of the board and the secretary of the board if I may share their letter. I have not shared their letter with residents. I did share my letter that I wrote in response with all voting members of Residents Council. Your initial statement that I am a resident representative to the board of Pinnacle is incorrect. There are no resident representatives to the board. But yes, I am in communication with them as your leader, fearless leader. I will do that. But I will ask if I have permission to share her letter. And if so, I think the best way might be to post it on the bulletin board inside mail room. That might be the best way, rather than 500 copies going hither, there, and yon. Other questions, comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Second? Adjourn. Thank you.